Hello, everyone, and assalamu alaikum. How are you doing? Hope everyone is doing well. Hello, hello. How's it going? Just making sure I'm audible. Yes, I am. Awesome. How's everyone doing? Zishan Elia, walaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. How are you? Hope everything is fine there. Yes, absolutely it is. Thank you. Thank you for asking. It's Saturday. I think so far the day has been really cool. So no complaints at all. I'm gonna make sure that the stream bot game that we built it's working. But how are you? How are you doing? Let's go. I'm not logged in into this one. Whoopsie. Hope you're well. Yes, Ellen. Thank you. Thank you for asking. Yes, I am. I am pretty well. I have had a good week. I was super productive. I created a bunch of open source pull requests as well. Worked on the Chrome extension a bit. Today was really good because in the morning I woke up at I woke up at 5, but then I also woke up before 7, and then I went for a coffee, and I also worked on the Angular Cookbook. So today I was able to finish the last chapter, technically the last chapter of the Angular Cookbook, but because the previous book had 13, so I'm finished with 13. Yay! But I have one more bonus chapter that I'm gonna be implementing in the second edition. So I now have to work only the last one, and I'm hoping to get it done as soon as possible. Then I think it's just gonna be reviews from the book reviewer, the person who's reviewing the book, just going through the comments, improving, finding out if there were any issues or bugs that I might have created in the process. But yeah, I think it's looking good. So then I think we're aiming for the book to be published in December. So I think we're really good on track with that. But how have you folks been? What have you been working on? And I'm gonna open the Chrome extension in the meantime. Pup, 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 pup. Close this guy. Close that one. Restream made. Let's pull this one in. Let's see. Git pull. I have stash changes. Why do I have stash changes? Oh, for the animation? Yeah, because I think I created a video. Git pull. But how have you been? And I think I can also start with this text that says about let's see, npm start stream bot. Alan says, Mashallah, I've been okay, but I've been lazy during my vacation. Was nice to start working again yesterday. Do you recommend a base understanding of Vue and Angular, or just focus on React? I would say what's more important is that you build a lot of applications compared to looking into um, a lot of tools or frameworks. To be honest, I think the more things you build, the more real world things you build, the more exposure you'll get. So I would recommend even React, study, since you already know that, study that a bit better. Look into more advanced concepts, higher order components, I don't know, techniques, architecture, how to make API calls, Redux, combining those, use Redux Thunk, for example, testing, and then you can start looking into building a project, because when you build a project, then you get into complex situations. That's when you really need um, a good understanding of the holistic idea of not just the framework, but then also a lot of tools. And I think when you go to interviews, that is what stands you out, if you have projects that you can show. So I think it wouldn't probably be um, it wouldn't probably matter if you have seen Vue.js a bit, because usually companies are like, all right, this person has worked with React, cool, for so many years. This guy can pick up Vue or Angular because you can do it on the job if the need be. Otherwise, you're just learning it and it might not be useful. So yeah, that's what I would say. Just making sure that you're focusing on one thing at a time. Hamad Siddiqui says, I was getting hands on Microsoft Power Automate. Oh, hands on. Okay, that's awesome. What are you building with the Power Automate? Are you building an application? And I can also say, I can also have you try something really quick. Mm, mm, um, I want you to try out this. Try typing drop in the chat. And I also want to see if I can get the game working as well. Let me see. So I want to go to the meme screen. No. Do I have a browser source already? Give me 1 second. Add existing. Where are you? Drop game, drop game, drop game. There you go. Drop game. And this should be Streambot. Yeah, it seems okay. Can you try one thing? Wait. Where are you, my extension? I want to build you. npm run build. Wait. Don't do it. Don't do it yet. Let me configure it. Let me configure it. Wait a second. I'm adding the sorry, I'm just running the extension. It needs to be there before anything can happen. All right, almost there. 97%. Come on. Come on. Let's go. Let's go. And now I can just reload this guy, enable this, and chat. Restream chat. Let's go. All right. Hopefully in just a bit. And now I'm so sorry. Now you can try. Now you can try it. It's gonna be exclamation drop. So type this. Type this in the chat. Type drop. See what happens. I'm gonna see the messages now. Ooh, look at that. 2.56, not too bad. We see Alan. We see Sufyan. Shoaib is gonna be exclamation drop. You have to type exactly that. Yeah, this guy. Exclamation drop. Ahmad Siddiqui. Nice. Using an extensing loan lending application to automate the process, Hamad says. Awesome, Hamad. That sounds interesting. Cool. And now you can see all you folks. You're hanging out there, just going around for a while. Vasif. So far, Unknown 7 seems to be having the maximum score. Ooh, Vasif. Vasif is on 41.68 so far. And the fun thing is that you can type the message as many times as you want. I wanted to add emojis to this because then you could say something like drop, and then you can have an emoji, and then it would drop the emoji instead of your avatar. So right now you see your, for example, Parvesh is just walking around. Ooh, there. But it seems like so far Vasif is taking the lead. Vasif is on top. So by the way, this is the extension that we have built, and um, and it allows us to just run the drop command so far. But the idea is to build this extension to do much more. For example, highlighting someone's text. That would be super interesting. Restream doesn't allow us to do that at the moment, but it's quite possible to do so. and maybe making the images a bit bigger. I don't know. Shoaib is trying different things. No, that's not gonna work. You have to exactly say exclamation drop, and then it works. So I can see Hamad going around as well. Oh, Hamad is on 49. Nobody has been able to do right now 100. That's interesting. Or I think the maximum I've got is 95, and I've not seen 95 plus from anyone. Can I try that? Let's see. It's gonna say restream on my one, but let's see. Maybe I'll beat all of you. Ooh, look at that! Look at that! Look at that! There we go. Oh, it completely missed mine. Alan, let's go. No, Hamad is up 1 point. Alan was almost there for just a while, but now Hamad seems to be going on top. All right, if we move it like this, and I'm fixing things on production right now, but seems like Hamad is doing a really good job. 84. Wow. Sheikh Muhammad Talha, I can also see you as well. Ooh, and that's an interesting point as well. So if you use multiple times, and if you get a lower score, then you get a lower score. So Alan is still on top. Alan, you might want to take a screenshot of this one. I'm definitely gonna do. Alrighty. Make sure to share that on LinkedIn. That would be fun. Awesome. I see Shoaib as well. So how do you plan the scope before building such application? That's an interesting question. I don't. I I mean I did build the game itself, the drop game. I think in 2021, so 2 years before, and that was like, hey, this is the game, and it only worked with Twitch. So I started with, I will sell this as an NFT for big money. Awesome. Yes, absolutely. So when I started thinking about the restream thingy, I was like, okay, this I have a web page. I can maybe build a Chrome extension. I don't really remember where the idea came from, but it just came. So but then I was like, okay, this is. I'm just gonna have the drop game migrated to something else. But then I was in the bathroom, and that's where you get the best ideas. And I thought of one thing, and that was like, hey, how can I or what should I add more? And then I immediately got the idea like, aha, I can highlight someone's text, because right now I can see your text right there, but Restream does not allow us to highlight someone's text because it doesn't have the feature. So that was an interesting. I was like, okay, maybe I could highlight the text using my extension if I wanted to. So that is absolutely going to be interesting. So yeah, I think scoping requires just some brainstorming. One of the things that I realized was I did not spend time thinking, and I was just doing a lot of stuff, and that does not help. So we have to have the time to think in general. So yeah, that was the entire idea. So what do you say? Should we start working on the application? And do we want this drop game to be online all the time so you can keep playing? To be honest, I think it's still fun. So for example, Hamad is there. I'm gonna double check if my and I'm gonna be taking a lot of ideas from you folks, because I have a bunch of features which include a lot of memes or gifs. So I will require some input from you for what kind of memes should we have, what kind of gifs should we have, and that is, as in community, we then build up this collection of memes, and then we'll also look into some sounds as well. And that could be in Urdu, that could be in English. Who knows? We'll see. So far it seems like Hamad is still going on top. Awesome. So what I'm gonna double check is if my screen, the other one, has the drop game enabled as well. So I just don't want to get rid of your scores, to be honest. So screen and round cam, okay, that's the one. Then should I have cam only node widgets? Screen and cam, that's the one. But I want to have, okay, that has a drop game. Cool. Then I think we can switch to that. Cool. So then if I go to my screen and game, even now you should be able to see the drop game, but it's no, the score went away. No, the score is there. Cool, cool, cool. Awesome. Mohammed Rafiq, hey, hey Rafiq, how's it going? All right, so we can see the chat, we can see the game as well. Hamad is hanging out at the bottom, and this is the page where we run our extension. So I'm observing the messages from here, and I also created one more thing. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna remove the chat because you can see your chat here most of the times. I'm gonna be just adding a couple of things on top of it. So let's see if I can remove this guy. So what I added another feature, and I did not stream it live, was I have now the ability to just add a name and then it generates that. For example, I can type Ahsan, and this is so I can test the extension without having to open Restream chat. So I can now run this anywhere. So I can say Ahsan, and then you'll see that now I have Ahsan going there as well, and I can basically do this, and then yeah, and then we have so many rockets, and you can see not even one of them hit the target. That's so super sad. But I think even you can send a bunch of messages together and it will create a lot of rockets. The chances for you winning or having a score above becomes lower because any of those rockets could also hit the wrong score or a smaller one. But yeah, it's still fun. So talking about the scope of the extension itself, what I did was I on the GitHub ticket, and this extension is open sourced, so feel free to use it. Feel free to create your own project. So it's under my GitHub. This is the one, and if you like it, do give this a star. I'm gonna share the link in the chat. So this is still gonna be open source. I don't plan on making money out of this, to be honest. So what I want to do is I want to show you the issues that we have. So what I was thinking about is, and you can tell me what should we build today, because I have a bunch of things to look into. One thing I think the easiest thing is right now on the extension page. If I go here, I have to click the start observing messages, and then it starts looking into messages. Otherwise, it will not uh, show any rockets. So I think this should not be the case that I have to click on something to make it start, but it should by default. If it looks at, all right, I'm on chat.restream.io, then it should start observing messages, right? That's what I think should happen. Do you agree that it should start observing messages when the page loads instead of me going and sending or creating a button? Do you agree to this? Should we implement this ticket? Because I have two more tickets as well. I can explain them as well. But do we agree that this should render or this should start when the page loads instead of someone going and clicking the start observing messages? I'm gonna see where is my. I'm not seeing any messages. What happened? Is there any performance cost of looking at the messages at start? I don't think so. What it does is um it starts looking into a couple of divs. So it runs a document selected query, and then it just looks at that query, and then yeah, if it finds any elements, then it starts processing. But if it doesn't find any element to process, it does nothing at all. So it's like every 3 seconds we have one single document query. So document.query selector all. That's it. And I think, so if you think logically about the extension is supposed to help, or is the extension is supposed to observe the messages, right? And another thing is that I can have multiple tabs open or go from one to another, and then I would have to click the observe button, which doesn't make sense. Or if I start streaming, or a streamer starts streaming and forgets to click the observe message, and now people are using drop, 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 and nothing is happening. So that doesn't make sense. So I think yes, that should be the case. So um, what we can do is, I've created the ticket for this one. So right now we have buttons to stop observing messages on this Restream channel. Ideally, the content script should automatically start observing the messages, and this may require that we only run the, how do you say it? We only let a new message, or we only allow the extension to work on a particular localhost port. So for example, if I'm running hundreds of applications, or not hundreds, maybe tens of applications on localhost 4200, localhost 3000, then I don't want to run my extension on every one of those, because yeah, I don't think that's a good idea. So what we can do is, I'm not sure if we can restrict it or not. So we can start with this ticket. I think it's an easy one, and then we can take it from there. So what I'm gonna do now is, SNS commented yesterday, but I created the ticket. Anyways, so then what I can do is I can create a branch, and on GitHub, if you're working on GitHub, you can actually do it right from GitHub, and I really like this feature. So you can say development, create a branch, and then this gives you a branch name. So the branch name here can be, and it picks automatically the enhancement from here. So I think here we can rather change this to, we can say, we can feed, and then we can say something like, now we can use slash or a dash is fine. Then we can say observe on page load. Let's make this the branch, and then I can just run this command. So I'm going to copy this, go to my console, do a git fetch, and this should bring the new branch, but I'm now going to check it out. So now I've checked out the branch. Okay, now that I've checked it out, I can go ahead and start implementing it. So let me tell you how it works so far. So what happens is, my pop-up, the extension pop-up, when I started, pop-up TSX is the React component that starts working on it. So here you can see that we do have a bunch of functions, but this is what gets rendered. So we have two buttons: start observing messages, stop observing messages, and then we have a form, a test form. So as we said, we don't want the start or stop. If the extension is running, it should be observing the messages. So that means this set of buttons does not make sense. So what I'm going to do is, first I'm going to run npm start in this extension so I can see the extension running, and then we'll take it from there. All right, so the extension is running now. I need to go to my extensions, and then I'll say reload my extension. So this is in the dev mode now. And now if I click this, I should not be having these buttons. So I'm going to go to my code, and I'm going to get rid of this whole div. So we don't have actually this whole section. And then I should not have this. So now we don't have that at all here. Okay. But now the problem is that now, is it going to observe the messages or not? That's a different situation. So if I go ahead and I do something like drop in here, then does it do it? It does. And that is because in my extension, I'm already observing it. So it has never stopped so far. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to refresh the page. And now my extension will probably not work. Let's see if I say send. Let's see if I refresh the page. Let's have a look. So this is Webpack dev server. This is running. My content script should not be running. If I say Ahsan, hit send, it does it. I'm confused. Wait a second. So I need to go to extensions. I need to go to here. Yeah. And then I need to reload this guy. Then I need to go to Restream chat, refresh this guy, go here, say Ahsan. What is happening? This should not be working and this works. Let's see. What I'm going to do is I'm going to delete the build folder. I'm going to run npm start. This should create a new build for me. Let's see. So now I have the build folder. I'm going to go and refresh this guy. And let's see. So I don't see the content script messages here at least. And then I go here, reload my extension, clear the errors, reload again, go to Restream, refresh. And now if I try to do a demo send, this works in the dev mode as well now. That's super interesting. Oh, no, I know actually why. Because when I send a message, okay. Sorry, my bad. My bad. I know why this works because this does not connect to content script. That's fine. So let me tell you what we want to do. So instead of using these buttons to trigger start and end, what I want to do now is when the component or when the pop-up loads or when my content script loads, I want to start observing the messages automatically. So here what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my, and I'm going to remove this start observing messages later on, but I want to go to my pages, content, index.ts, and in here, no, it's not going to work now, Ellen, because the page, because the extension is not working, and it's fine because that's what we wanted. So now you can see we have an action that comes from the pop-up which starts observing the messages, but we don't want this. That's what we have discussed. What we want is when main triggers, we want to start observing messages automatically. So when main is clicked, this function is called. This function first runs this thing, but then right after we can say start observing messages, which is this guy, observe messages. So this is what we want, right? Now, I've saved this, and if I go and inspect this page, and then if I refresh this, let's see what happens. So in this particular case, the content script itself is not loaded, so the drop will still not work. And that is because this is dev version, right? And now what I want to do is I want to run this in production. So I'm going to go to my terminal and then run npm run build, because when we are developing this extension, we can run the start. But when we are running this on a actual page, we need to run npm run build and then reload the page. All right, let's go. Unless someone knows a better way, because I don't. So I'll reload the extension, clear the errors, reload again, go to Restream, refresh, and now I should see the content script works with TypeScript. Yay! And now if I've not clicked my extension, I've done nothing, but even if now I say drop, this should work. Hopefully. There we go. So our task, what we wanted to do is when Chrome extension starts, we wanted to run it, and it runs now. So we don't have any issues now. Does that make sense so far? What does the extension do? So on Twitter, They're asking what does our extension do. Change it back. Do we have Twitter logged in here? No. Do we have it logged in here? Can we go to history and get back the previous ones? Yes. Let's see. Can I get some drop messages in the chat like this? Can I get a lot of drop messages in the chat so we can tell them, we can tell Restream what does the extension do? So exclamation drop in the chat quickly. We want a lot of exclamation drops in the chat. Yes, let's go. As many exclamation drops as possible. All at the same time. 3, 2, 1. All right. I can see. All right, let's see. So let's also put this guy right here. And then I think if I go to my YouTube as well, let's see if I go to YouTube, CodewithAhsan, and if I go there, and if I try to say right here, as in drop, 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 then I can see this as well. So I can take a screenshot and then I can add it. So then let's go and try to respond to Twitter. Oops, that's not the one. That's the one. What does the extension do? The extension so far allows to observe the messages on, and let's see if I can get the chat right here. And is a command. The drop game overlay, and the viewers can see a rocket screen, and thus. All right. Cool. Let's send that. All right. Let's see. Okay. Thought my kid woke up. He did not at the moment. Cool. So let's move forward. So what we are going to do is, with this, now that we have the observe being done, we need to remove what we don't want to do. So we'll still keep away from the pop-up to stop observing if required, which means that we also probably should keep the start observing action, but we'll remove the ability or the need for the user to click a button in the pop-up to start everything. Walaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Ali Ilyas. Ali Ice. Is that the right name? Ice. And is it with an ain or alif? And what is the meaning of it? Ice. Ali Ice. Okay, so what we are going to do is, we do have the pop-up actions. we do have observe messages that's running right now. We do have the action. So let's keep this open. We're not gonna have the need um, to do it. We do observe ourselves. So everything here remains the same. And here maybe let's a rocket as well. And let's say context works with for Restream extension works. And let's remove that console log. I'm looking at the chat now. So happiness. Aha. Okay. Got you. Walaikum assalam, by the way. By the way, this looks dangerous as well because if we can move an object on Chrome tab, then we can read the information as well, which can help hackers to steal the secret information. How can we secure this? I think Chrome itself allows you, when you try to access information from an input like password, I don't think it allows you to use or to get the information of it via jQuery, I think, or JavaScript. Or I mean, let me think. If it's I'm pretty sure that if you're trying to access an element that is a password, then it would not allow to run on content script. But if it does, then I think I'm not sure. Maybe it is catered in the review process of the extension. I'm not 100% sure. Ma, assalamu alaikum. Acha. Hmm. 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 All right. चले भाई अब इनकी बारी है अब क्या होगा टॉयज से हाँ सो रहे थे आप क्या सो रहे थे ये लो हसन भाई छोटे को रिएक्ट कब सिखा रहे छोटा रिएक्ट सीखा सिखाया पैदा हुआ है मुझे लग रहा है नॉट रियली श्योर जब ये सीखना चाहेंगे खुद से I mean, I can read text from a text box and just send it to API or any other place. No, that's not going to be possible. So your extension can read the information, but in order to send that to an API, the extension cannot send a request to. It depends. If the API can accept it, then yes, and then also it really depends. For example, if you have if the backend is yours and it accepts the information, then yes, it's possible to get that information and send it. But I'm pretty sure that there is some security, but I'm not the best person for Chrome extensions security at the moment. But that's a good question. I'm gonna write it down. What? Oh, oh, what? Hmm. Hmm. क्या चीज पेन तो अब ये देखिए जो आपकी विसिनिटी में है करीब है नदीम चौधरी है नदीम हाउस गोइंग हमारे पास हमारे ब्रॉडकास्ट के अंदर एक अच्छी सी इंटरप्शन हो गई है तो हम देख रहे हैं कि इसका क्या होगा माउस कहाँ गया ये रहा माउस हेलो नो Jacob चलें मैं आपको छोड़ के आऊँ मैं क्यों ना हम ऐसा करें कि हम 5 मिनट्स का ब्रेक ले लें। और फिर अब्बा वापस आ जाएंगे। इट लुक्स लाइक यू आर इन द EST जोन। यस, दैट्स एक्चुअली राइट। आप अगर यहाँ पे टाइम देखोगे, वहाँ पे, यहाँ पे, तो यस, इस 5 PM अभी अभी, तो अभी अभी असर का वक्त हुआ। जी, क्या चीज़ ये चलो फिर हम एक काम करते हैं, हम 5 मिनट्स की ब्रेक लेते हैं और फिर हम आ जाते हैं, ठीक है? चलो बिस्मिल्लाह। माँ, alright, I'll be right back everyone. See you in just a bit. आजो मेरा बेटा। मोहम्मद असलान ऐसा। माँ कहते हैं, ता बोलते हैं, माँ बोलते हैं, ता, माँ, ता। All right. Kamal is using the drop. Hello, Kamal. Assalamu alaikum. Okay, so where we were was actually start observing messages and stop observing messages. I don't think we'll have the ability of doing it at the moment, so I'm going to remove these from the functions, so we are not keeping them. And let's see. Mm-mm-mm. Okay. Hmm. I'm thinking, should these functions be inside this file because it's pop-up? So I think we should have a separate file for actions, or we could have, yeah, I think we should have a separate file for actions, and then we can just use that. So I think in the core we do have actions ts, but let's move the functions even here. So we can go in here and say start observing and stop observing. Let's copy those. And I think syncs to storage is also something that should go there as well. So we'll go and say uh, 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 let's see. So we can cut these, and even the get current tab, I'm not really sure. Maybe we can use this in utils something. Well, let's do it. So first I'm gonna remove or move these functions. So we're gonna move them into actions. So we have this one, and then we also have a function that is if I go to my pop-up tsx, we do have a function called get current tab. I think we can just do it in a utils folder because this is not an action. So we can go here, we can say utils.ts, and in here we can have an export const current tab. Then we can import this in actions. So we can do it like this, import from utils. Then we have set observing true, set observing false. This is a state of the pop-up component or pop-up React component. We don't want that here at the moment, so I'm going to remove those. I'm going to also export these functions. And then we also have sync state to storage. Now this pop-up state is coming from an interface file, if I remember this correctly. Pop-up state, no, it's not coming from an interface file. It is somewhat, where's the file? Looking at the chat. As in my quick question, what would be the essential of JavaScript to learn before getting into React? I think the basic concepts are really important. So like functions, scopes, also, I mean, loops, array methods, string methods, uh, a good practice of objects, maybe a bit into, now that I think about it, the DOM manipulation strategies. So those are sort of the things that one should be familiar with, to be honest. So yeah, I think that should help. Okay, so in here then, so my pop-up component is really nice so far, and I like it. Where does the pop-up state come from? Oh, here it is. Pop-up state is observing. So then what I can do is I can actually take that out in state.ts, and here we can say something like export type pop-up state is observing. Now that I think about it, I'm thinking how we should do it. But now since I don't really need the is observing, I think I can just get rid of it. Because whenever I start the extension, whenever the page is loaded, it is automatically observing. So we don't really need that. but let's say here we can say extension state rather than pop-up state, and then we can say is observing messages rather than is observing. And then here in the utils, no, not utils, in here we can say extension state. So this is supposed to give this extension state that we import from state, and then what we do is we then do this pop up state. Come on, pop up. No, sorry, we just have is, we have the same thing but is observing messages, and that should make everything happy, cool. Or extension state is saved, is observing messages, cool. Now I can remove this is observing, I can remove this, I can remove the use state. What does use effect do? Now we don't need this anymore. I like cleaning up stuff. Cool. So now all we have is, and we also don't need this part, this margin top, because if I go to my extensions, enable this guy, reload this. What? Did I just get all of your messages right now? Abdul Rahman Tahir, Parvesh, Hamad Siddiqui, Wasim Mahmood, Ali Ais, a bunch of my messages, Alan, Ishaq, Demo, Unknown. What is happening? All right. So now that we have this, let's quickly go and remove this margin top. So I'm gonna remove this or put it right here. Try drop in the chat. Fixing things in live. All right. Now I can go and remove the margin top from here as well. So let's remove this guy. Then what we also want to do is okay. Then we also want to do one more thing. Let's see. So I've cleaned up the pop-up. I need to clean this use effect as well. Send dummy message is okay. Observing starts in the content. That's also nice. We have also restructured the whole magic thingy. That's also good. I think it's good overall. We have Firebase messages, but can we also say I want to move all of this, the observe messages and blah blah blah. I want to move them to their own module. Like we have the messages here, which handle the command key, the messages as well. But I think we should also have this removed, like the observe messages, blah blah blah. So that's what I'm thinking. Maybe I should say maybe I should call this commands or something. So we have messages, but we should also have command handlers maybe. So maybe something like command handlers or commands.ts. And in here, we can then move a lot of stuff. So we can, for example, move the handlers, right? That could come right here. Then we can remove it from here, but we'll do it in a way. Then we have stop observing messages, start observing messages, observe timer. We have messages element query. And then we also have a bunch of other things as well, like pop-up action is also here. Observe interval is also here. So I think all of this can actually go away in commands, right? And then here we can also have a state um, where we can keep the messages, for example. I'm not sure if I'm going to be sharing the messages between different files or modules. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. I don't think I will, however, but then when I think of it, it seems like that the start and stop observing messages should be in the messages one, right? That's what I think. So then this guy should not be here. This should be in the messages. So we can keep them like this. Then we can export these. Export const, export const. Then we have, let's see, the message class that we are going to have from core messages. The pop-up actions would come from the actions. This can go from or go out from this file. Start observing, stop observing, const, blah, blah, blah. Makes sense. And then we have this I'm thinking. So the commands here will have to have the pop-up action type. Let's import this from core actions. I'm thinking, why do I have a pop-up actions and a pop-up action? Okay, so we have an enum here, but then no, it looks bad on so many pages. All right, let's refactor this a bit. So this is going to be, we're going to change this to pop-up action type, and then we'll have a pop-up action interface as well. So we're going to go to commands. We're going to have not a type, but an interface, pop-up action, which is going to be action of type pop-up action type and payload any, which means that if I can go here, then I can also do this, export interface pop-up action. This makes much more sense. And now that I'm exporting this, I can import this inside here. So pop-up action, which is right here. And then I can also import from messages, observe messages, stop observing messages, and parse message. So this is much cleaner now. So this is our main file. This listens to the events, right? And then it calls the particular methods from messages if it's start observing or stop observing. Then also, if I go to commands, should I have it here? Should I have it in the index.ts? Blah, blah, blah. If I import commands in here, I'm thinking now. I mean, if we move it there, I don't see a risk at the moment, but yeah, I think we could do it. I think we could. Yeah, I think we could do it. So start observing or stop observing, and here we should have a something like this. So we could say export const, listen to commands, pop up, or listen to, or we can say something like init commands listener, and this should essentially just run this. Then what we can do is in the index.ts, we can just do this in its command listener. And then we can also run observe messages. So then we can clean this guy up, we can remove this. So our main right now just does two different things. One is that it listens to the commands from the pop-up, and then the other one is it observes all the messages. And I think this makes much more sense. Cool. And then the commands run it, and then it runs a lot of things as well. So now what I can do is I can run this and see if everything works. So npm, we can do rm. With the build process, can we ensure that it deletes? We can say rm or f build and this. So npm run build should first remove the build folder, and then it should regenerate it. I think Webpack itself has something that allows you to do the same thing, but I can't remember it. Let's bring this guy a bit down. All right, built successfully. Let's try this out now. So we're gonna go and go to our extensions, reload, clear the errors, go to the Restream chat, refresh now, and I should be able to see the message. Content script for Restream extension works. Cool. That means the messages are being observed. If I go here and then try the drop message, I should see the message coming in, and it should show us the arrow. Yay! So after all the changes, our application works just fine. So we can now see the changes and then push the code. So package.json is right here. We have the build working here. We have the actions as well. Then we also have moved the state around. I think we can get rid of this line. It's also good to it's always good to test or check your code for any potential console logs that you don't want, and for the ones that you want. For example, this one, I don't think I want that at the moment. I mean, when I do send a message, we have the response coming in. I don't think I need that, but let's see. And then we have the sync state storage, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I will keep those for now. Content script for Restream. Yeah, we restructured this a lot. Commands are also good. Messages, seems nice. It still does the job, so that's good. Pop-up also seems to be good. I also wanted to check if we have any tests implemented at all. Don't have any tests. That's not good. I mean, I could test my functions, but I would have to mock all of this. I would then have to trigger all of this and then would make sure that the observer messages is called. I mean, we could do it. Maybe not today, but we'll see. So now we can go ahead here and say git status, git add, commit, feature. Here we can say for pop-up, observe messages by default. Here that means that removed the buttons from pop-up to stop observing messages. Then we also refactored the code to make it cleaner. What did we do apart from that? Nothing. I think we just cleaned some stuff, right? Yeah. So let's commit this guy real quick. Let's push this. We're gonna go to our GitHub. Let's go to pull requests. We have the PR opened. Now it's open. And I also want to switch to the dark mode. Why am I on the light mode? I am on the dark mode. But then why is this bright? Wasn't here some sort of theme? Settings? Appearance? Dark default? Dimmed? I think I would go with dimmed. High contrast? No. Dark default? No. Let's go with dark default. Tritanopia? Nope. Default. And that one. Okay. I think we are good. So now I can go back. Go here, refresh. Nice. And then I think I'm just gonna do, looks good to me. We can just merge the PR. And we can also say closes. Did it close it? Yeah, I think it closes it already if it's linked with the PR. Yes. So if I go to issues, I should have 2 issues. Awesome. Cool. So now what should we do next? Should we start looking into if we can change the icon of the extension, or should we look at the other thing, that is highlighting the message? So there are 2 things that we could do. One, if I am on the Restream chat, I can highlight a particular message, which means that on my stream right here, you will see that message highlighted. That's one feature. The other feature is if I am observing messages and I'm on a page where this extension should be running, then the color of this extension changes. So what do we want to do? Highlighting the message or the other one? Ooh, I have my delivery coming in. Ah, awesome. Okay. So I see no comments, which means that I can stop today with this ticket, and then the next time we go live, then we can implement the feature of highlighting a message. So let's actually create it. Feature request highlighting a chat message. So we can say here the extension should allow to highlight a message in the chat. Now, one thing that I'm thinking about is maybe we can implement, is it possible to have NX Chrome extension? The problem is if I start looking into, so we have NX, Angular, TypeScript, background script, content script, blah 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 blah. This seems really nice, but I'm not 100% sure if I want to go with this, because if I go to extension, would I be able to then leverage all the other things or not? So we have the app here. We have the pop-up app. Oh, I think I could actually do it now that I think about it. Because yes, I think every single application would in the end become, yeah, will be linked with the extension itself. So I think it should be super easy. Okay. This is interesting. I'm gonna double check this and see if I can hook them up. But this looks interesting. Mm. Mm-mm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Hmm. Okay. I think I'm gonna have to look into this if I want to make, because the problem with extension is without the overlay, it doesn't have a complete use case. So your front end should be in the extension page. So you can also run it on OBS. You should also be able to run your application, I think, locally, because you're running on OBS. I mean, not necessarily, you shouldn't be just running it locally. You could also deploy this, but then it makes sense to have both the output HTML the and the extension in one place. But I think I'm not going to do that. But let's see. The extension should allow highlighting message in the chat. Solution, like here we can say the extension should ideally add message in the chat, a button in the drop down of each message. So right now we have a chat right here. So I should be able to just click here and then have another button here. So I have one button here. Maybe I can add another one that looks just like this. And when you click that, there should be a highlight button. And then if I click it, a button should be, a message should be highlighted in this case. And then it should come like right here on the bottom of my screen. So we can say that. So ideally, when in the drop down of each message, um, clicking on that button should show an HTML element overlay in the streambot output HTML, right? As a result, the stream overlay shows the message as highlighted, right? Describes the alternative you have considered. A clear and concise description of any alternative solutions or features you have considered. No. Let's keep it like this. Then we can submit the issue. As I was saying, the problem with having the output page somewhere else is that now I'm creating the tickets here, but the output doesn't have them. So I don't know what to do. And we probably also want to abstract the logic or out of Firebase from the other. So here we have the messages, for example. Once we start doing the messages, we parse them, and the parse message does an add document, right? Via Firebase. So this messages module is actually linked with the output. So ideally, we should have an output. We should have an output module which could use Firebase, which could use something else. I'm not really sure. It could implement an API endpoint. It could implement something else. No idea. Because then you could add, for example, a Firebase adapter. You could add something else. Not sure. But I think without making it more complex and without over engineering it, we'll still move maybe the Firebase out of it, and then we'll use something else, maybe. Because this Firebase could actually, instead of exporting the Firebase app, which we just export from here and import in messages, it could rather, the Firebase module can be what adds the document. Okay. So here we could do, let's go back to main, check out main. And here we should have, should I type drop in the chat? Let's put it there. Okay, so now I can maybe create a ticket for this one so we can look at this later. So just a feature request, or I can say extract the Firebase logic out of the messages module in the content script. So here we can say right now the Firebase part is tightly coupled with the messages module. It would be nice to be able to use either an API or Firebase or whatever. So we need to decouple them. And here we can say move the add and similar methods from the messages.ts module to Firebase.ts in content script pages. And we can disregard this one at the moment, and I can do this. So the thing is, this whole extension, this is open source, which means that these issues can be picked up by you if you want it, and I will be fine with that. I can add a couple of things. For example, this one, I think this is a good first issue. So if you're interested in contributing, just pick this. Yeah, just the output part, I'm a bit skeptical about that part. Since we built it with Angular, I'm not really sure, to be honest. I want the other app to be within the extension. If I go to, because I think what I could do, now that I think about it, I think what I could do is, if I try to go to this extension's options page, this has a URL, right? And if I wanted to add that as an options overlay, could I do it? Let's see. If I add a browser, I say Restream chat options overlay, then I could actually do it like this. Does that work at all? I don't think so, because it's a Chrome extension page, so I don't see an output. Nope, it wouldn't work. But let's think here. If I opened this in the, because if I go to options, source, pages, options, HTML. In here, I just have the body, but it doesn't link anything, so it doesn't make sense. But if I go here, then I would have, I mean, I could actually give it a path, which means if I go to this file, this should actually render everything, right? So I could copy the path, change it here, and now I should have it. Do I have it? Do I have it? Do I have the overlay? Do I have the overlay at all? If I go and say, hey, dude, I want to have a, oh, because there's no content in options. If I go and say, hey, I have a app container in which, oh, because the JavaScript has to run as well. Let's do one thing. If I do dist, no, if I do npx http server dist, no, build, and if I do options dot html, let's see. Continue to decide. It downloaded it. Why? Okay. But then what I want to do is if I do build, then I should be able to go here. No, go here. And now you can see a lot of pages. So if I go to open options or HTML, this is a settings page, right? But if I add that to the overlay, there we go. Look at that. So that means that the extension, and here is the overlay. So this, I can move this as well. So that means that I can use the app right here, keeping it inside this repository. That's possible with React, which could make things a lot easier, but then I wouldn't have to have this guy right here deployed. Yay! Okay, and the scores also need to reset, but that's a bug. I'll fix that later. Awesome. So I think that's pretty much it for this stream. I think this was interesting. I loved the chat that we had as well. So I'm going to stop right here and I'll see you later. Thank you. Have a good one. Bye.